Lieutenant Paul Vance. I just want to chime in with him. Lieutenant Vance, now that we know it is a murder charge, what can we assume about the evidence or something that has changed, at least from what the public knows?
Well, as you've been speaking about and reporting over the last 7 months, this has been an ongoing case, a very meticulous case, a case that involved hundreds and hundreds of man-hours, boots on the ground, examining evidence, scientific evidence, and the list goes on and on. And all that is compiled into what we call building blocks, the building blocks of an arrest warrant, to tell the entire story. And it's something that definitely, without anything whatsoever, it lays everything out. It lays everything out to the judge and to the state's attorney to make sure that everything that's contained therein tells the entire story and is, in fact, the building blocks of probable cause, hence the arrest takes place. Now he'll be transported to Troop G down in Bridgeport. He'll be processed there, fingerprinted and photographed, and all the paperwork will be prepared for an arraignment in Superior Court. Due to the time of day, normally the arraignment would take place tomorrow. He'd be held according to what the bond restrictions are that were set by the court, and arraigned appropriately as quickly as possible in front of a Superior Court judge.
You mentioned the building blocks. I mean, there's the bloody shirt. There was the knife that the man in Hartford found but sold it to someone, and they were never able to find that knife. There's this presumption that her body has not been found. There's Michelle Troconis. What did she know? And that affidavit that came out before the gag order, police really laid out details of how they thought he could have committed this crime, and right down to timestamps on when they saw the car, and how he took an employee's vehicle and had it cleaned at a car wash. All of that, is it possible that it's been lined up and reviewed enough, or in your expert opinion, it's something else that's been added to all those existing blocks of evidence?
I would suspect, quite frankly, that additional information has been uncovered during the investigation. I couldn't tell you what that would be. It could be something scientifically that was determined by the forensic laboratory. It could be interviews that were conducted with witnesses or people in the know. And certainly it could be just about anything that would be beneficial to be able to explain the story to the judge, to the court, to determine that, in fact, the facts and circumstances are enough to cause the building blocks of probable cause to equal an arrest warrant.
As you mentioned earlier when we first broke in with this news, and if you're just joining us, it was shortly after 11 a.m. where police approached Dulos' home in Farmington, and he was seen taken away in handcuffs. His attorney later told us that he believed some of the rumors that this could happen, and he rushed over there with moments before police arrived to brief his client that this was likely going to happen and that the arrest warrant is for murder. As all of this goes on, earlier I want to bring back to the point where I asked you, do you have to have a body to have a murder charge? That has been this conventional wisdom that a lot of people have said, oh, that's why there's no murder charge, because there is no body. And you said that's not necessarily true.
That's correct. It definitely is not. There's historical cases right here in our own state of Connecticut where, in fact, murder charges and convictions have been handed down without the recovery of remains or a body. Certainly, I think it's important that everyone understand that's one of the things that investigators were trying to determine, certainly to give the family closure, to be able to maybe garner more information, more evidence, or what have you. But that's why there was no rush to judgment. There was no rush to end this case until every stone was turned over, every person was spoken, of information was uncovered.
The other two people, do you have, again, we haven't seen the warrant yet. We do expect to get that warrant within the next couple of hours, as that will become a public document. But is it, as we think of this case, and we know about the employee who police believed was driving a vehicle that may have had Jennifer Farbot-Dulos' body, and Michelle Troconis have certainly been the other prominent figure in this case, would you think that one of the other people being arrested is Michelle Troconis?
That's a tough one to call, Kara, but certainly I guess the possibility has to exist in many of our minds as we look at all the facts and circumstances as we know them to date. But But that'll be, again, transparent, public record immediately upon taking someone into custody and charging them formally with, I understand, conspiracy and/or a possible murder charge for another individual.
When we go back to the summer and we, right from the shocking disappearance to later on the videotapes of finding evidence in the trash cans that Fotis Dulos was dropping into trash cans, to later on apparently some forensic evidence in that vehicle that may have been used to transport a body, according to police. People have wondered why up until this point maybe it wasn't enough. And can you talk a little bit about what you have to have as a law enforcement officer to get a judge to sign a warrant for murder?
Yeah, a judge looks at an arrest warrant very objectively. Doesn't matter who the suspects are or the victims are or anything else. He or she wants to see within the boundaries of that piece of paper, and not just one paper, obviously, but several pages of a warrant, all the facts and circumstances, every bit of information that investigators have uncovered, the source of the evidence, the examination of the evidence, witnesses, what the witnesses had to say, from personal knowledge, and the list goes on and on. So it's like writing a term paper from start to finish. An arrest warrant is. It contains everything that investigators have gathered. Every investigator that worked on the case that has uncovered information is contained in that warrant. And that's why it's important, and it's very good that it's transparent, because certainly unless the court puts a hold on the warrant, and I don't know why they would, but just in case they do, it might be delayed being released. But if not, we'll know very shortly, and we get a copy of that affidavit, all the facts and circumstances up until the last warrant was executed, and then continuing on from there, additional information, additional leads, additional facts and circumstances that caused the murder warrant to be issued by the court.
We understand that there's a $6 million bond that has been issued for Fotis Dulos, and again, two other people that we were told by Norm Pattis would be arrested simultaneously. He declined to mention who those other two would be. He wanted to wait to see the warrant. He says, we welcome this fight. We think we will win it, that on some paradoxical level, he actually is happy that there's an actual charge and they can prepare a defense. So what happens next? I guess in the immediate, it's possible an arraignment could happen today. Otherwise, likely because of the time of day, it would be tomorrow morning.
Yeah, most likely it will be tomorrow, unless the court has availability this afternoon. But certainly the hearing will take place, and I'm sure the defense attorney will argue about the bond. It's a court-set bond, not set by the police, it's set by the court. And the defense attorney will attempt to determine with the court that the bond should be reduced. If it's not reduced, it remains that way. And certainly whatever the parameters of that bond are set by the court will be determined whether the suspect is released on bond or whether he's incarcerated pending his next court appearance.
Lieutenant Vance, we so appreciate you helping us break this down, this breaking news that Fotis Dulos has been arrested and charged with murder. I'd like to keep you on the line. We're now going to go